Dictionary in Python. This video is almost 90% of what you need to know about dictionaries in Python. So, dictionary is a Python data structure where data are stored as keys and values. Like in this example, keys play a role of identifiers of some value. A real-life example. Your phone book can be a dictionary. To call somebody, you need to get his number. You search for the desired phone by the person's name, and the person's name, in this context, will be the dictionary key. Dictionaries are partly similar to lists. Only the reference to the values of the dictionary is performed not by the index, but by the key. Let's create one. To create a dictionary, we can use curly braces. It's a special syntax to create a dictionary object. After the opening curly brace, we have to specify a key, then a colon, and then the value of that key. Another way to create a dictionary is to use the dict function. Here, the name and the age parameters will become keys, and the arguments will become the values of these keys. And we can see this person dict, Jack and age 21. By the way, using of the dict function in some cases is a more Pythonic way to create a dictionary, because it's much more convenient way to do it, because no curly braces, no colons, no quotes for one-worded keys. It's just more convenient. Python dictionaries can have infinitely many keys. Keys can only be immutable objects like numbers or strings, and usually strings are used as keys in dictionaries because they are mnemonic and they're human-readable. And values can be any data, even function objects. How to get the data from a dictionary in Python? The first way is to use square brackets like with lists, but instead of indices we use keys. But if I try to get the value of a key that's not exist, let's say phone key, I get an exception that there is no such key error. And therefore, in some cases, to avoid such situations, it is advisable to use the special method of dictionaries get. And as an argument, I pass the key which value I want to get, the phone. The get method can take a second argument, which is the default value. That is, if the required key is not in the dictionary, I will receive this second argument as the value. What way of getting values from Python dictionaries you have to use? Brackets notation or the get method? There is an opinion that using of brackets to get values is considered as a bad practice, and you always have to use get method because it suppresses raised exceptions. And it's absolutely wrong opinion. We have to use both ways of getting values from dictionaries. We have to use brackets when we are dealing with required data that should be in the dictionary. If a dictionary has no specified key, we have to get the exception about it, and then we have to do something with it. And it's important. If some data are optional, we can use the get method, because actually it doesn't matter what value will be returned. Let's go further. Let's suppose I need to get the value of some key, for example, a phone, but if it is not in the dictionary, it should be created there with some value. And to do it, we can use the setDefault method. What happened here? I tried to get the value of the phone key, but there is no phone key in the person dictionary. And then it was created, and the second argument of the setDefault method was assigned to it as the value. And then the setDefault method returned the value of this newly created phone key. The usage of this method you could see in Django Visgy and ASCII files, for example, something like this. How to change a dictionary's content? The first way is to refer to a key even it does not exist and then assign a value to it. And if you want to update a Python dictionary with a lot of data, we can use the update method. The update method gets another dictionary as an argument. And as you can probably guess from its name, it updates the content of the dictionary which call it. And here we can see that the existing name received a new value, the John, and a new email key was added to the person dictionary. Also, we can use parameters of the update method and arguments assigned to them as we did with the dict function. Nothing changed. The initial n value was replaced with a John name, and the email key was added. Or, instead of the update method, we can use the pipe character that will do the same. Nothing changed. Due to this behavior, it's important to remember that a key has to be unique in a dictionary. No duplicates are allowed, because, as you know, in case of duplicate keys, rather than raising an exception, Python will take the last instance of the key to be valid and simply ignore the first key value pair. Okay, what if I want to rename a key? What I have to do? There are two steps. The first one, save the value to a new key and delete the old key with the del keyword. The first step, let's save the needed value to a new key. And then let's delete the surname key. Or the second way is to use the pop method. Like in lists, the pop method deletes a dictionary item and retrieves its value. So, for example, then let's create a new key, and then let's pop the surname key. Dictionaries are iterable objects and can be looped through. If we will treat a dictionary as a list, the for loop will loop through its keys. For example, and this is the equivalent to writing like this. The keys method lists the keys of the dictionary. When we call items method, at each iteration we get a tuple, where the first element is the key and the second is the value. Lists and tuples can be unpacked by variables. For example, key value equals to item, print key, print value. And exactly the same way we can unpack keys and values into variables. Dictionaries are a very handy thing for storing data for lateral retrieval by name, by key. And it's one of the main parts of Python language. If you like this video about dictionary in Python, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.